Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're digging into GameStop upcoming earnings to watch. GameStop is always a company that grabs headlines, and well, with its Q2 fiscal 2025 earnings report just around the corner, there's definitely a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. It's always a fascinating one.
We've gone through the sources you sent over to bring you the key catalysts, the financial puzzles, and all that speculation that's always swirling around GameStop. Our goal is to get you up to speed quickly and clearly.
Yep. Cut through the noise.
Before we jump in, though, if you find our discussions valuable, please do hit subscribe, like the discussion, maybe leave a comment. It genuinely helps us bring you more of this analysis.
And let us know if there's another company you want us to look into. Just drop in the comments.
Definitely. Okay, let's unpack this. GameStop's journey has been, well, anything but typical, hasn't it?
It's putting it mildly.
A real mix of operational restructuring, these wild financial swings, and, of course, that intense retail investor interest that just doesn't seem to fade. So before we look ahead to September 9th, what's been happening in GameStop's world over the last few months? What really sets the stage for these upcoming earnings?
Well, the sources really paint a picture where GameStop's recent past absolutely dictates its present situation. The story here isn't just about the bottom line. It's, about a company navigating some pretty aggressive restructuring.
Right, the cost cutting.
Exactly. And dealing with very volatile financials, all while being constantly under that intense spotlight from retail investors.
Right.
So these Q2 earnings, they feel pretty critical.
Okay, so walk us through the timeline a bit. What happened recently?
Looking back at August, the big news was really just the confirmation. Q2 fiscal 2025 results are set to drop after the market closes on September 9th.
Mark the calendar.
Definitely mark that date.
Yeah.
Based on how the market's been acting, it's shaping up to be, well, a major volatility event. What's interesting is, despite the broader market doing okay, investor caution seemed pretty evident for GameStop. The share price actually declined 5.4% just last month in August.
Against the trend. And before that, July.
Yeah, rewind to July, and the stock continued that slide. It closed at $22.45, down from about $24.39 in June. That was part of a 3-month downward trend, actually.
Okay.
Operationally, the focus has really been on streamlining. This follows those earlier exits from places like Italy and Germany. It signals a clear push to preserve capital, make the core operations leaner.
Makes sense.
And even with the stock price declines, there was still plenty of chatter online from retail investors, But no major coordinated trading rally really materialized this time, and trading volumes also quieted down quite a bit.
So we're seeing a stock that's had a bit of a tough run, but also a company really focused on, like you said, tightening its belt.
Precisely.
That leads us directly to their previous financial reports then. What did their Q4 2024 results, the ones they reported back in June, tell us about how this cost-cutting strategy is actually playing out?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting for you, the listener, trying to piece this together. In June, GameStop actually reported some pretty impressive Q4 2024 numbers on the surface. Net income doubled to $131.3 million.
Doubled. Wow.
Right. But here's the crucial insight from our sources.
Yeah.
They managed this despite decreasing net sales.
Okay, so not growth.
Exactly. This isn't growth-driven profit.
Yeah.
It's GameStop aggressively cutting costs to essentially shrink its way to better margins.
Yeah.
And the big question that raises is, how much more can they realistically cut?
Good question. What else stood out from that report?
Well, they also ended Q4 with a huge cash pile, $4.78 billion in cash and equivalents.
$4.78 billion.
Yeah. That offers a ton of flexibility, obviously, but it also sparks major questions about what management actually plans to do with all that capital. Is it just sitting there?
Right. Any word on guidance?
That's another key piece of context. GameStop stopped giving forward financial guidance way back in 2022, citing market volatility and its ongoing transformation. They actually reiterated that stance back in May.
So investors are kind of flying blind.
Pretty much, yeah. They're relying almost entirely on the actual results when they finally come out.
Okay.
So what this picture tells us is a company intensely focused on cost-cutting, on cash preservation, all happening in a really challenging retail environment. The question you should probably be asking yourself is, can GameStop sustain this strategy without ever getting that top-line revenue growing again?
That is the central puzzle, isn't it? So, okay, let's zoom in on these Q2 earnings coming up on September 9th. How are analysts actually factoring that challenge into their predictions for GameStop? What are they expecting?
Right. So for Q2 2025, The analysts do have some clear expectations, and like we said, they're pretty crucial because GameStop itself isn't giving any clues.
Yeah.
The consensus for revenue is hovering around $1.15 billion.
Yeah.
Now, if they hit that, it would actually mean a 7% decline compared to the same quarter last year. But interestingly, it would be an 8% increase sequentially from Q1. So kind of a mixed signal there.
Yeah, bit of both. What about earnings per share?
On the earnings per share, or EPS front, the GAAP consensus, that's the standard accounting principles, is for a loss of 7 cents per share.
A loss of 7 cents.
Right. The non-GAAP loss, which often adjusts for certain items, is projected slightly better at a loss of 6 cents per share. And just a note for you listening, there isn't really a widely circulated whisper number for Q2 this time around, so we're pretty much relying on these official analyst estimates.
Got it. So beyond those headline numbers, the revenue and EPS, are there specific metrics you'll be watching closely in the report? Things that give us a better sense of the quality of the performance?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Gross margin is right at the top of my list.
Okay.
In Q1 2025, it stood at 22.2%. Now, that was a contraction from the previous quarter. It was also down from 22.9% the year before. No. So any further compression here, any further squeeze on that margin would signal ongoing merchandising stress, maybe even issues with inventory valuation, which is never a good sign for a retailer.
Right. What else?
Another segment to keep a really close eye on is collectibles and other sales growth. This has actually been GameStop's only growth segment recently. It was up just 2% year over year in Q1 2025.
The only growth area.
Yep. So if we suddenly see some real acceleration here, that could potentially start to shift the narrative a little bit, away from just cost cutting and maybe towards finding some new revenue streams.
Interesting. Any other details from Q1 that set the stage?
Yeah, a couple of things our sources highlighted. Inventories were actually down 6% year over year in Q1, landing at $817 million. That's part of that cost-cutting effort we talked about.
Okay.
But to put that in context, hardware and accessory sales were down 10% year over year in Q1, and software sales declined 7%. So the core business areas are still shrinking. And one more thing. Let's not forget seasonality. Q2 is typically a pretty soft quarter for retail in general. It sits right between that back-to-school rush and the big holiday shopping frenzy, so revenue often takes a natural dip anyway.
That's a really good point. So it's not just about hitting or missing the headline numbers, but the quality of that performance, what's actually driving it. You mentioned volatility earlier, and volatile is almost an understatement for GameStop, right?
Absolutely.
It sometimes feels less like an earnings report and more like opening some kind of mystery box where a 20% swing either way seems, I don't know, almost expected.
You're spot on. Historically, GameStop's post-earnings price reactions are incredibly volatile. Our sources show that in 3 out of the last 4 quarters, the stock actually saw a negative reaction the very next trading day.
3 out of 4, negative.
Yep, ranging from a minus 4% drop to a pretty steep minus 10%. That really tells you something about how unpredictable this stock can be around earnings time.
Definitely. And what about the lead up to this report? Have analysts been changing their minds?
Yeah, leading up to this report, the estimate revisions have also been largely negative. Over just the last month, the consensus number for revenue has been trimmed by about 1.7%, and the EPS estimate's been reduced by 2 cents.
Okay, so a bit more caution creeping in.
Exactly. It suggests that the analyst community is becoming maybe a bit more conservative in their outlook as we get closer to that September 9th release date.
Okay, Q2 earnings are clearly a huge event, but the GameStop story always seems to have extra layers, doesn't it? It's never just the numbers.
Never just the numbers.
Beyond this report, what other catalysts should we be aware of in the coming months? And what about those, persistent rumors that always seem to follow GameStop around?
Absolutely. For GameStop, the story's never just one earnings report. Looking ahead, say, the next 3 months after these Q2 earnings, we have several kind of continuous checkpoints for you to watch. So in late September, we'll start seeing the institutional 13F filings. These filings reveal what the big institutional players, the hedge funds, the mutual funds, have been buying or selling. It gives us the clearer picture of their positioning.
Right, seeing what the big money is doing.
Exactly. Then, October could potentially bring an ETF or index rebalancing event. These events can sometimes spark volatility, especially for a name like GameStop, as large funds have to adjust their holdings based on index rules.
Technical factors.
Yep. Then come November, we'll get the early holiday sales reports and maybe some guidance for that crucial period. That's critical not just for GameStop, but really for the entire retail sector.
The holiday season, always key.
Always. And finally, December will likely bring the Q3 fiscal 2025 earnings release. So you see it's kind of a nonstop stream of potential news events.
It really keeps rolling.
Yeah, these events really connect to the bigger picture. You know, they provide ongoing insights into the company's actual trajectory and maybe just as importantly, investor sentiment. It makes it more of a rolling narrative rather than just these isolated quarterly snapshots.
And then there are the rumors. GameStop feels like a magnet for speculation, which certainly adds to that extreme volatility we keep talking about.
Oh, absolutely. It fuels the fire.
What are some of the more talked about possibilities that the sources highlighted? What's the chatter?
Well, the rumor mill's always buzzing with GameStop, as you said. First, there's that perennial anticipation, almost hope, in some online communities for a short squeeze revival.
Ah, the short squeeze. Still.
Still, online forums constantly discuss the potential for a renewed squeeze, especially if, say, institutional short interest climbs after these earnings and retail sentiment rallies behind it. Currently, the short interest stands at about 19% of the float. This is the tradable shares available, so it's still significant.
19%. Okay. What else?
Then there's always speculation about cryptocurrency or digital expansion. Hints persist about GameStop maybe re-entering the digital asset space or NFT initiatives, perhaps trying to capitalize on its prior meme stock legacy and find new growth avenues there.
Right, playing to that history.
Exactly. We also hear persistent rumors, kind of bubbling under the surface, about potential leadership changes or M&A activity, mergers and acquisitions.
M&A. Interesting.
Yeah, talk of executive turnover or maybe activist investors pushing for acquisition attempts often circulates, particularly given that huge cash reserve we mentioned and the, frankly, sluggish sales growth.
That cash pile makes them a target, maybe.
Could be. And finally, hints of potential strategic retail partnerships periodically surface. Suggestions of new alliances with major tech companies or e-commerce providers, names like Amazon or Microsoft sometimes get thrown around. These kinds of partnerships could genuinely transform how the market views GameStop. Now look, these are certainly speculative, right? We have to emphasize that. But they perfectly illustrate the kind of narratives that can quickly move a stock with this much retail attention and this kind of historical volatility. They're really part of the whole GameStop ecosystem at this point.
That makes sense. It's easy to get caught up in GameStop's very unique story, but maybe we should pull back for a second. What's the broader sector and the macroeconomic environment telling us? And sort of tying it all together, what's the overall outlook from the sources you reviewed, especially considering all these unique factors?
Yeah, that's a really critical perspective to bring in. From a sector standpoint, the reality is that physical video game and software sales continue to be soft. There's just an undeniable, ongoing shift towards digital downloads and streaming.
Your writing's on the wall there.
Pretty much. Plus, the broader U.S. discretionary retail sector, things people want but don't necessarily need, is definitely feeling pressured by restrictive interest rates and, consumers generally tightening their belts. That creates a really tough backdrop for GameStop's core business model.
A challenging environment for sure. What are analysts saying overall?
Well, the analyst commentary we saw in the sources is generally quite cautious, leaning towards skeptical. Several maintain underperform or even sell ratings on the stock. They mainly cite that persistent top-line pressure, the lack of sales growth, and the limited visibility for a real turnaround. Reflecting this, the consensus price target has actually been reduced over the last 3 months, falling from around $15 down to just $11. So the skepticism is pretty widespread among the professional analyst community.
$11. And the stock's trading where now? Low 20s?
Yeah, exactly. Looking at the technical setup, the stock has recently traded mostly in a range between $20 and $26. But here's where it gets dramatic again, tying back to earnings.
Uh-oh.
The market, specifically the options market, is pricing in extremely high implied volatility. Right now, it's sitting at about 155% for the options expiring right after earnings.
155%. What does that mean in plain English?
Yeah, it sounds crazy high. What it essentially means, based on those options prices, is that traders are expecting a potential swing in the stock price of about $4.80 around these earnings.
$4.80.
Right, which is a huge 22% move relative to its current trading level at spot price. It just highlights the potential for really dramatic price swings come September 9th.
Wow. Okay, so putting it all together, the weak fundamentals, the analyst caution, but also the volatility and the meme factor, what's the overall leaning from the sources?
The overall leaning, synthesizing the sources, is probably best described as neutral to bearish. That's primarily driven by that persistent top-line weakness and the ongoing margin risk.
Makes sense.
However, and this is a big trisomatation, however, with GameStop, it's absolutely crucial to acknowledge that its meme stock status and those high short interest dynamics mean it can have these totally outsized moves that seem to defy traditional financial analysis.
Right, the rules don't always apply.
Kind of feels that way sometimes. So, just to give you some illustrative scenarios for September 9th, not predictions, but possibilities based on the analysis.
Okay.
A bullish case might have, say, a 15% probability. Think a revenue beat, maybe $1.17 billion, or a smaller EPS loss, perhaps around 3 cents. This could be driven by a surprise in collectibles or maybe software doing better than expected. That kind of outcome could potentially lead to a plus 20% to plus 40% stock move.
Big jump.
Then the base case, maybe around 65% probability, this would be results near the consensus, roughly $1.15 billion in revenue, that 7-cent EPS loss. That might result in a more, let's say, modest move for GameStop, maybe plus or minus 15–20%.
Still a big swing.
For GameStop, yeah. And then a bearish scenario, perhaps with a 20% probability. This would involve a clear missed revenue, maybe below $1.13 billion, or a larger EPS loss, say 12 cents or more. This could potentially see the stock drop quite sharply, maybe negative 20% to negative 35%.
Okay, quite the range of outcomes.
A very wide range. So, with such high volatility and such a broad spectrum of potential outcomes, how does one even think about this as a learner? Given all these conflicting signals, it's tough.
That's the perfect question, isn't it? And it's exactly why this GameStop situation, messy as it is so valuable for you listening. It's really a fantastic case study and how many different factors, everything from hard financials to pure market psychology, can influence a company's stock price.
Absolutely, a confluence of factors.
It's truly not just about the numbers on the page. It's about the ever-evolving narrative. It's about the market structure itself, and it's about the anticipation, the speculation about future events.
Yeah, GameStop definitely faces a structurally tough retail environment. That much seems clear from the sources. But its substantial cash reserves, that ongoing operational restructuring, and that immense, almost unwavering retail trader focus. These are all powerful, interconnected variables.
Very true.
How management communicates its progress, or lack thereof, and how effectively they adapt to the evolving technology landscape that will be truly decisive for the company's trajectory heading into the end of the year.
Indeed. So as you track GameStop's earnings release on September 9th, here's maybe the provocative thought to carry with you. Is GameStop, at this point, primarily an operating business trying to turn itself around? Or has it become something else? More of a financial instrument, driven purely by liquidity flows and narrative shifts?
That's a deep question to ponder.
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. And remember, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into next time, please let us know in the comments below.
We'll see you next time.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating discussion.